Authentication and error messages. Incorrectly implemented error messages in the case of authentication functionality can be used for the purposes of user ID and password enumeration. Incorrectly implemented error messages in case of authentication can lead to user ID and password enumeration. An application should respond both HTTP and HTML in a generic manner. That's good. Authentication responses. Using any of the authentication mechanisms, login, password reset, or password recovery, an application must respond with a generic error message, regardless of whether the user ID or password was incorrect, the account does not exist, the account is locked or disabled. The account registration feature should also be taken into consideration. Registration feature. Okay. Think about registration here. And the same approach of generic error message can be applied regarding the case in which the user exists. I'm checking if user exists. Okay, this applies to both registration and checking if the user exists. Is it the same sentence, more or less? The account registration feature should also be taken into consideration. So we think about registration, and the same approach of generic error message can be applied to this applies to both registration and checking if the user exists. It's the same. The objective is to prevent the creation of a discrepancy factor, allowing an attacker to mount a user enumeration action against the application. Objective: prevent creation of a discrepancy factor. Attacker can enumerate users in the app. It is interesting to know that the business logic itself can bring a discrepancy factor related to the processing time taken. This sentence is all backwards. Business logic can, okay, so it's like the business logic, so the programming, the actual code can be run can be run in different times, like 1 second, 5 seconds, 1 minute. And we will need to rephrase this. Indeed, but depending on the implementation, the processing time can be significantly different according to the case, success versus failure. Different implementations can take different times. attacker executes time-based attack watches how much time it takes. Example, okay, so we do not want to go there. It is interesting to know that the business logic itself can break a discrepancy factor. Sometimes business logic can yield different execution times. Processing a request. Sometimes business logic can yield different execution times. Okay. Based on implementation. A given implementation can take different times. Success versus failure. Attacker executes time-based attack, which is how much time it takes. Okay. Response in a generic manner. We already said that. Respond with a generic error message. Okay, respond with a generic error message. We already said that. User was incorrect. Incorrect credentials. Account doesn't exist. Account is locked, disabled. This applies to both registration and checking if the user exists. Okay, I think we're going to leave it here. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.